Hello everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Destiny video. This is the very first episode in my question and answer series I started. I had a few people write in through either through Facebook, through YouTube comments, or through the Google form I created. There'll be a link in the description to where you can check that form out and submit your own questions. The first question comes from Eric, and he sent it through Facebook. He's just asking if I've won any major tournaments or events for Star Wars Destiny. The answer to that is not yet. I played in a few smaller tournaments at my local game store, but they haven't had their store championships yet, and I didn't go to Worlds or anything like that. But I've done all right at these tournaments. I've gotten both the alternate art Tie Fighters and an Electroshock. I've only got one of them. I'm playing in a tournament tomorrow. Get the other. I think the best I've done is these tournaments have been fairly small, so I think like 3 or 4 rounds is generally how long they go. I've done the best I've done is 2-1. I think that one was I was running either my 3 Stormtrooper and Bala-Tik deck or 3 Stormtrooper and Tusken Raider deck. So I did 2-1 with that. The last tournament I went to, I brought Poe Maz and I went 2-2. I beat the first person I beat was running a deck. I think that was either all stormtroopers or it may have been like three stormtroopers and something else. I don't really remember exactly. I just remember doing Poe Maz thermal detonator, three damage to everything, which was almost half of the stormtroopers like health pool. The next person I played against was running electric Elite Palpatine, and I managed to beat them mostly due to Planetary Uprising because I had that out and I had Palpatine at 13 and I just claimed the battlefield and won. And then same tournament, I lost to forget who I lost to in the third round, and then in the fourth round, I lost to an Elite Palpatine. So that tournament, I beat Palpatine once and lost to Palpatine once. There's another tournament coming up tomorrow. I'm looking to get the alternate art Electroshock. Hopefully, get the Django. We'll see how I do. I'm probably going to be bringing Poe Maz, even though I'm getting a little tired of playing Poe Maz. It still does fairly well, at least for me. But I'm enjoying playing other decks more now. I've created a Jyn Erso Rebel Commando deck that I've been doing fairly well with, and it's a fun deck because the cards synergize very well with each other. And I also like the fact that Jyn Commando can win off of mill, and it can also win off of just damage because the Commando and Jyn both have damage and discard sides. And then Jyn has obviously the 2 discard sides and the 2 damage sides, and just really good card synergy with cards like Rebel. So if you're showing a card with discard, you can play Rebel maybe for free if you haven't played a yellow event yet that round, and then play a yellow event out of your discard pile, decreasing the cost by 1. So I've had fun with Jyn Commando, but I'm probably also going to be starting up a weekly recap. So I'm probably going to this tournament tomorrow I go to is going to be included in that, and it'll include like games from the previous week because I've actually been logging games on my phone, at least like the results. So I'm like at this event I went 3-1 or whatever it might be. But that'll be coming up probably maybe starting Friday or Saturday. I'll have that video up just recapping the last like week of Star Wars Destiny and how I did. But that's from Eric on Facebook. I want to thank him for sending that question in. We're going to move into our next question, and this came from YouTube. Um, Forgive me if I pronounce this incorrectly, but it came from Radiant Zella, or Zila. I'm not quite sure how it's pronounced. Hopefully, one of those is correct. And they were just asking what I feel or how I feel about force speed. I currently think force speed is fine. I don't really play blue a lot, but I do have a playset of force speeds. Got one in my first box, one in my second. Um, I do think there's a little bit of overreaction to it, just because even after they roll force speed, they can't immediately resolve it unless they somehow game that ambush. And like if they're using it with Rey, Rey has ways to like you do hold on blaster into force speed, which gives you more actions, which you can actually then roll and resolve right away. Excuse me. But other than that, like it's easily removable with like electroshock because if they roll the special, it's a or specials count as 0, so electroshock hits that. It can be removed with he doesn't like you. It can be removed with Loft Cat and Mouse, or if they rolled blanks alongside that, you can use something like Feel Your Anger. If they rolled a blank in the Force Speed special, you can be like, okay, remove your Force Speed special. It does get a little bit crazy with Rey And I don't really think that's a problem with Force Speed. It's more of a problem with the way Ray is designed. I think Ray, for being 12 points, is severely like undercosted. But she basically facilitates all these extra actions that you can take. I'm not sure if people are wanting an errata on Ray or if they'll get one. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't really play as Ray very frequently. But there was one game on Tabletop Simulator where my opponent had both their Force Speeds. They played one on Ray, played another one on Ray, and then rolled Ray. Thankfully, not in the same turn because they don't have ambush, but they rolled both the specials on 4 speed and then were able to resolve them, giving them 4 actions, which was enough to roll out Obi-Wan, have him land on 3 damage, play my ally as the Force, which is ambush, and you leave the die in the pool. So it was. I think they forgot who I was playing. I think it was Jin Commando, and I think they just basically one-shotted Jin with Obi-Wan's damage, like that was 6 damage, and then they did 4 damage somewhere else. But that's the only time I've seen 4 speed kind of get like really crazy. So as for now, I'm fine with 4 speed. Like I said, it can be easily removed with cards like electroshock. He doesn't like you. It can be manipulated if you play manipulate. You turn one of your dice to a blank, turn their 4 speed special to a blank, or 4 speed to a blank, things like that. Another really cool thing I like about it is confiscation. It can be confiscated, and it confiscates for free because confiscation costs 0, and then you spend resources equal to the cost of an upgrade to return it to their hand. So they roll 4 speed special, you play confiscation, they bounce it to their hand. They obviously don't lose any resources because confiscation, if I pay 2 to play a holdout blaster and then it gets confiscated, they pay 2 resources, and I don't. Those are 2 resources, and then I have to wait to get. But that's another way to get rid of 4 speed as well, is with confiscation. So that's that question. I want to thank Radiant Zila for writing in. Next question came from the Google form, and they were asking basically just what kind of decks I generally build and what kind of strategy I like. I'm mostly, I suppose, if I had to boil it down, the decks I like mostly are more mid range. I do focus generally. Will focus sometimes on mill, sometimes on damage, but I'll have like a nice removal suite in each deck. So if I play yellow, I'm always going to include electroshocks. If I'm playing villain, I'm always going to include he doesn't like you. Hero, I'll probably always include Loth Cat and Mouse and things like that. So, but I've built a few pure aggro and a few pure mill decks. I think villain mill has gotten a lot better, or mill is more viable in Spirit of Rebellion with like Ukar and like stuff like cards like the Vibro Knucklers, cards like Ascension Gun, because you can, if you even if you're not on your discard location, you can not electroshock, but Ascension Gun back to it, have them discard 2 cards, things like that. Con Artist is another really good one for mill. But I've had more fun. I have more fun with mid-range decks, so I would consider my Jin Urso Rebel Commando deck to be more mid-range because there are weapons in there that Jin can use and the Commando can use. But you can do a good amount of damage with Jin. You can do a good amount of damage with the Commando, but also both of them, like I said earlier in the video, have ways to make your opponent discard cards. And Jin has like a nice way to just get a ton of damage on her if you use something like what was it? Never tell me the odds. You infamous never tell me the odds. Focus in the damage and just blow up your opponent. So I've had fun with that deck. That's probably my favorite deck currently is my Jin Commando deck. But that's basically the strategy I kind of build is mostly it's going to be kind of in the middle. Have it do a little bit of discard and have it do a little bit of damage, and then control the rest like with like Loth Cat and Mouse. He doesn't like you. Electroshocks, other things that just basically remove dice. And they also had a question about C3PO, and it was because C3PO rolls a blank, can you then use the action to remove C3PO to trigger a special? And the answer to that, I believe, is yes, because C3PO just has ones and blanks. So you could treat um, his ones as one of anything. So you could be like, I want to resolve this as one range damage, or one resource, or one disrupt, or whatever it might be. If you have a die in the pool that has a special, but it's like, let's say it's on a blank, you can remove C3PO because specials have a value of 0. Specials and blanks are counted as zeros. So you can remove a 1 focus from C3PO and still make it a special. So if you remove a blank, it does the same thing because blanks are also zeros. So you can remove C3PO to, let's say you have Poe on a 1 resource side. You say, I want to remove the blank C3PO to treat Poe as being on his special and do that. The game I was playing against, I played a game against a deck that was Snap, Ray, and Chewbacca. Chewbacca being the last character left, with Lone Operative and C3PO, and they were able to remove C3PO's die to treat it as a special Lone Operative and heal 3 damage off of Chewbacca since he was the only character. So yes, you can do that with C3PO. So if he's on a blank, you can just remove it and treat it as a special on another die that's in your pool. So I want to thank you for writing in. We're going to move into our last question. And the last question for this episode comes from Jeff. And Jeff writes in and says, I'm working on a Django Aura deck, but I think Bala looks good as well. I'm a big fan of 4 dice on my characters and monocolor. Talked about this deck a few months back, and yours was quite a bit different than mine. You pointed out some combos I did not know about, but I did focus on doing larger damage with Fight Dirty and Arm to the Teeth combo. I wonder if you made any changes. I think the deck he's referring to was Aura Singh, Balatik, and maybe like a Trooper, or something like that. Aura Singh and Balatik could be good. I'm actually working on a deck with them. Balatik mostly for his focus and the fact that if you defeat a character, you can re-ready Balatik. I think if you're going to do Aura Singh and Django, you're probably going to want to have Aura Singh be the elite, just because I really like her ability a lot. Where if you roll, she has 3 damage sides, and they're all ranged. Django does have, I think he has 3 as well, but he has the melee damage as well. So that's kind of splitting damage a little bit. It's not a big deal with that deck because I think it's only one side of his die has the melee. But I really like Aura Singh's ability, so that's why I prefer to have her be elite. So if you let's say you roll her out and you roll a 1 damage and a 2 damage on her, you could when you go to resolve that, you could discard 2 cards to increase each of those dice by 1. So the 1 becomes a 2, the 2 becomes a 3. That just did 5 damage. I think I like using her more with Balatik because even if you don't roll her damage and you roll Balatik's focus, you can focus into her damage with that. Um, I'm also using Fight Dirty. I am not using Arm to the Teeth though. Arm to the Teeth I might put in. Arm to the Teeth to me feels more situational. Like if it's the last round of the game, they have 2 health left. You have 2 upgrades on your character. You could just play Arm to the Teeth, remove the upgrades, and do 2 damage. I think that might work as well, but I would probably only maybe run like 1 of it. I wouldn't really rely on that to win games because you might not draw it, and then the character that you have a bunch of upgrades on may die before you can actually use Arm to the Teeth. So I think, or if they're about to die, you can use Arm to the Teeth and then get rid of them. But if your opponent is faster and kills that character before you can do that, then Arm to the Teeth might just be like a dead card in your hand at that point. Um, I prefer Fight Dirty in that situation. But again, if their character has 2 health left and you have 2 upgrades on your character, Arm to the Teeth like absolutely works. I don't think it's a good idea to use that when they have more than 1 character out though, because you are getting rid of your upgrades unless you have a way to like scrap buy or Starship Graveyard to get those back. You might not be able to get those upgrades back that you discarded to use with Arm to the Teeth. But I am experimenting with Bala and Aura Singh. I'm gonna do a video of me testing that out against Pomaz. Gonna be playing against myself, but I really want to see how well they synergize. Because if they don't synergize well, I may switch out for a non-elite Django. I think in that deck, though, like I said, you want to keep Aura at elite just because if she rolls both her dice to damage, you discard 2 cards and increase the damage by 2. Django is nice, especially if you like have something like fast hands. You can fast hands them out as a reaction to them activating a character, and then resolve one of the dice right away. But with Aura, I really do like the ability to just pump up her damage, especially if you're using her with like a lot of weapons that have like modified sides. You can get the damage from the modified sides as well as extra damage off of her ability. So I want to thank Jeff again for writing in. That's going to do it for the very first episode of the question and answer series. Leave your questions in either the description or the comments below. There'll be a link in the description to where you can submit questions to the Google form. And if you ever see me on the either of the Star Wars Destiny Facebook groups, just like you can hit me up on there as well. Send me a message on Facebook or on send me a message through YouTube if you want, or just leave a comment, and then I'll add it to the list of questions for the next episode. So get those questions in. I want to thank everybody for watching. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.